What an intro song we have here. Hello, hello, yes, welcome. Now, originally I was going to do this on the PS4 version, fairly soon enough. And then Hellfire Comms have done their version, or started doing their version, and I got told there was a PS5 update, and I thought, perfect, PS5 time. So this is What Remains of Edith Finch. A lovely art sort of game, which I really quite enjoy. It's one that definitely holds a little special place in me.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Now obviously I'm going to try and get all the missable trophies as well, which is going to be interesting.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Well, I mean, the landscape already looks pretty cool.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Yeah, nobody's in the house, nobody's going to know.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Oh, I love the interaction with the words as well. This game has a lot of unique little things
my mother
for
left me a
it.
key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Right, now here's our first one. So I need to go down here first until I reach the basketball hoop. And then I'll walk straight back again and go the other way.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family.
I'm going for an enthusiastic walk in the woods.
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something, but never do.
Okay, oh, there's the basketball hoop.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Touch. And now I want to go back the other way and come down. Seems weird, I know. The one that I'm going to keep close eye on is one where I have to find specific Thank you, lungs. Specific telescopes to look through. Which obviously I've got the guide open ready for. That's zoom. R2 is action. That's all you need, really. This is more of a unveiling, you know, what happens to this family and, you know, what's going on, what's spookies, if it is indeed there is spookies going on. And each story we interact with has its own unique style and unique gameplay element, and I don't know, I always find it quite charming, if dark in places. So yeah, sort of content warning, whatever, this is going to touch upon some pretty dark things, or at least tragic things that may upset or, you know, that kind of thing.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Go, Bambi, run. Be free before man catches you and does to you what they did to your mother. I mean, look at the house though. What a design. What a Winchester Mansion-esque design.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
But what does that mean precisely? Aside from, I don't like it, it looks really silly.
The house felt like it had always been here. Even the swing set was older than my mother. I heard something moving around in the garage.
Yeah, you only go and look, don't you? I believe you have to go in through this way anyway.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
What an abandoned wreck.
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
But you were terrified of the house, so how does that work?
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
(1988 to 2010), so 22? Maths is correct. A Viking's belly. You all know it's in a Viking's belly.
Like how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Is the kitty still here? It's apple pie, made from the finest apples.
Or how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot. The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Hmm.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
I mean, look at this. I'd love a living room like this.
Abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Yeah, and with these books everywhere. Library. Give it to me.
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night. Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Metaphorically or literally?
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes. Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Jeez, only 10 years old. Ugh.
Whenever people ask me about my family,
The first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Barbara? They seem to have a lot of the same book in the shelf. Probably bought all the stock.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
Edie's father, Odin, built the original house.
Odin.
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
Oh god, I hate that one.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Basically like living tombs, kind of creepy.
My grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Obviously with that corpses in there, but...
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Yeah, I mean, what's with the... I mean, the whale sharks are cool, but what's with the dead house?
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
He's just a fucking liar! Someone like their Jules Verne enough, they had to put a lock on it.
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
Behind a...
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
It's one of those Rube Goldberg things, isn't it? It makes no goddamn sense.
From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
Pretty sure Milton's meant to be a reference to another game that these creators created, and I believe it's the Unfinished Swan, but I'm not entirely sure.
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
In fact, I'll do that now.
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting. I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here, before my mom sealed the doors.
Because I believe Molly was her sister, I think.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me
these
to
guys
bed
made Stray.
without dinner.
Donut County, oh nice.
Starving. So I looked around.
I've heard about
for something
Kentucky
to
Route
eat.
Zero as well, but... Oh, they did Flower as well. Gone Home. Journey. Yeah, the Unfinished Swan. Which I believe is meant to be the reference.
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
I'm going to eat anything, even the bars. But you've not fed me, Mama.
My Halloween candy was all gone.
Then I must consume the flesh of the living.
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Yeah, Jesus, how starving do you have to... does the child need to be if it's doing that?
I ate a lot of things that night. I kept eating and eating.
I've developed an eating disorder. Yeah, I'm never quite sure whether to
Then I
joke
heard chirping outside my
or
window.
anything like that about anything that happens, because a lot of
was a
things that happen here are
barn
quite...
swallow going back to her
they're
nest.
surreal in terms of their delivery, but the tragedy is real. As in, imagine this happening to your family kind of tragedy.
I reached out for her. And suddenly,
I
was
transmogrified into a little kitty cool. Mew. Mew. Come here, you bird.
the bird was really
Fucking
scared.
bird. I want to eat you, bird.
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Mom, it's almost as if they were mannequins. I wonder if they did an entire game based on a cat. Need to get back to playing that later. I'll kill you, bird.
I almost got her.
Kitty
I
is
could tell she was
pissed.
getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore.
But I was a
All
cat
I
now,
cared
so I
about
didn't
was
give a
eating
shit.
that mama bird. I got
Feast!
and suddenly I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
I love these, it's just so cool.
Rabbits. I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine. I swallowed him up.
Its
and
life
I
snuffed
didn't
out
shoot
as I
him in the face.
gobbled its soul.
Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
It's a man. I love this bit as well. It's like, oh! See what I mean? It's like surreally stupid, but I love it. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I
Come here, seal.
Juicy seals.
King seal.
I tore
Your
off
fluffy.
And it tasted really good.
I taste the blood of seals.
Jaws in VR. Come here, you little dodgy shit.
Grabbed on tight.
Oh.
When I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I
Then I
opened
became
my eyes, everything had changed.
Cthulhu. I love this bit though, like, look at that.
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Not too bad. We need to play that game at some point, probably.
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
Oh, man flesh! Here's the squid people. Holy shit, what the fuck is this on the boat?
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Oh, let me finish. Turn to the government to pay his back taxes. I'm supposed to be hearing that a lot when I finally get around to doing Assassin's Creed 4. That's going to take a while because I've got two Brotherhood Revelations and 3 to get through. And Liberation. Yeah, doing the Assassin's Creed is going to take me a long time to do. Just going to do a sweep while this guy's doing his thing. There's not really a failure state in this game either. Good. Now silence! Lord Cthulhu grants me this power. Hello, fuck nugget!
The last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
But there's a few deaths in this game that... Because the entire point is we're revisiting the final memories of all these people who died. And some of them are ambiguous as to how they die. Some of them are really obvious. Where am I coming out of? Oh, the poo hole! I've come out of the poo hole, that's nasty. Not having that. Coming out of the poo hole.
Closer and closer.
Oh. I mean, I suppose this can be construed of she either ate something that
All my
killed her,
stomach started growling.
or she literally died of starvation, which is like not a good thing.
And suddenly, I was me again. I
these were all hallucinations based on the stuff she'd been eating.
Delicious.
Or she ate herself. Yeah, like, what the fuck? Well, you're dead. This is
I'm
kind
not
of
sure
cool,
if
though.
I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Oh. Come back here, you mew.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories.
Edie
That's
would
about
have,
right.
but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
To me, it's look. I mean, it looked good on when I originally played it anyway, but it definitely looks nice here.
I spent a lot of time in Great Grandma Edie's room.
Zerpy. Lurpy. Purply. Oh, Rob. Well, that ruined it. It should be Robly. That's Zuppy. Where's Derpy?
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him.
And she was clearly going on, not near death's door herself.
Even in her 90s. Sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
The little 7 dwarf things.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Yeah, because that ends up being one of her relatives.
Her room was like a museum.
What if that's based on that? Because that looks like a real photo, so I wonder if that's one of the developer's actual relatives. Oh dear.
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch
Oh god,
buries
the
the latest
haptic
victims
feedback
of
as
the
well,
family
nice.
curse. His wife Ingeborg.
I used to
and
have
their
those kind of
newborn
things, you know,
son,
the viewfinder
Johan.
things. I used to have like discs of Stingray and Thunderbirds episodes and random Looney Tunes stuff as well.
On January 7th, 1937,
And
he
this
set
is
sail
exactly
with
how
his
they
family
how
and
it
his
would look when you
house,
did it.
hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
See, some of them are just literally that.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Yeah, again, it's never specifically sort of said if you know, if the curse is real or whatever it is they're using. I think we do I don't know if we do ever do Sven's story.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom.
Ugh. The carpet
It was a
as
pretty
well.
big trace.
Yeah, not a fan of the pink or the carpet.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Weird but cool. Why would you have a creepy little... And Milton is here.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
Okay, each of them just controls
My
the legs
brother
like...
said he died.
Oh
when
my
he was
lamele, oh my
And
feeties.
he did.
Oh, you can't really see him now. Wow.
At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
He wanted to be an astronaut, so of course he did.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I
You can
told
kinda
him
guess
going
what's gonna
around
happen,
was
can't you?
impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that. Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Yeah, double dip, yeah. All going round, oh shit. Yeah, straight into his death.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
I think you can replay them as well. I
After
don't
the
know if you can do it after you've done or not. No, you have to finish first.
Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Who made this? The fucking Spencer Mansion architects.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
It turns out she ends up working at as a waitress, as they all do. Barb Street.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
I love the style of this one though. This one's really cool.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch.
John Cassia.
As a child star, Barbara was
He's trying to
famous
be anyway.
for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate.
It's Rick the
when-
Prick.
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room.
How convenient.
Got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight.
Hold
Police
it,
are
check.
urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a
Take
sec.
that. Get back.
20 minutes
Bye.
later,
I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna
Rick
fuck out.
hadn't
Found Rick the
returned.
Prick.
So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound...
Does anyone remember the game 13 on the PS2? I mean, yeah, there's been a modern remake of it, but the original one kind of gives me the vibes with this, really. What's with the Halloween music? I'm gonna get copyright claim.
And imagine the worst.
Okay, the haptic feedback's kicked in. Oh wow, I'm getting, yeah. This is one thing I did like about the PS5. Bugger off, planks. I'm gonna knock these all off the table. Does that count? There we go.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago
How the fuck
tonight.
did he create that freaky thing? And that one. Other way, punching bag.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Probably a raccoon.
Oh dear!
Bitch!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
I'm still armed with a crutch. I can kill, you know. Skates.
Walter, are you there?
Walter, are you reading Thomas the Tank Engine again?
Vanished.
Or are you watching the... Oh, no, it wouldn't be out yet. I was gonna say, he's watching the Ghost episodes.
Doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Hello, it's Suzuki, man!
And was speechless. He was quite smashing.
Fuck you!
He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. She thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it.
So it wasn't a bitch.
Hadn't been opened in years. The hinges grow.
Twat!
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
This is one where no one's quite sure how she died. Like, was she actually murdered or did she go mad?
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh no!
Oh dear.
Oh no. It's Brian.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself.
So I don't know if it was quite the zombies or all the monsters that tore her apart. I mean, she might have just, I don't know, ate something funky.
She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real ear fairy tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
I don't want YouTube. Keep doing that every time. Oh, back in we go. This doesn't look coffin-like, does it?
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Because down there, in the basement, is the darkest secrets. Maybe. No.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Jeez.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years.
30 years, Jesus.
On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive the week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane.
What do you call this, sane?
Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
Luckily, I had this trap door here just in case.
I know it's out there, somewhere. Whatever killed Carol. And Molly. And Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day. Even if it kills me. Whatever's out there.
You know what the irony is?
I want you to know, I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food.
Huh.
I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one more day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Yeah, sounds like she hides a lot from you.
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Ooh. Bear with. There we go. Completely forgot about putting it on charge. Down we go.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
Nope. That's his waste pit. Wonder where the shit pit is.
Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Yeah. Oh, see, there's the old house lot.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
I think we have to, that's what the next telescope's going to be telling us. That's going to become relevant.
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family.
It's kind of creepy how they're turning
and
on
the history
as I
you're a
walk.
part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Oh, there's Derpy. Oh, Derpy and Derpy Jr. Doggos and kitties. Baboos. More kitties and fishies. Oh well, the fish obviously died.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery. I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night. Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
I think I do have the unfinished swan somewhere. I'll have to give that a go as well.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
Starting to see what I mean though. It's massive, heavy, tragic
Looking back on it now,
vibe to it all.
If she told me there was going to be so much climbing,
I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
So that's the latest bombshell.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something. Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Hmm? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it?
I just need to. There's one.
I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit.
Please just take the damn picture.
Hey, language. Smile, Dawn. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hmm.
Hey!
That's a keeper. Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything.
Except
great
she's gonna...
shot, Dawn!
Oh, of course.
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
That's why he goes there automatically.
Sorry, Dawn. Just gotta reset the timer.
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
Whoops. Always check it's dead before you do that.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me. After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Oh god, here we go. I don't like this one, I really don't.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
It's kind of a cute sequence, but it's dark when you know the whole point of it.
Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like. Reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw, it sure made him happy. Sounds. But I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel her slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night. I wish he could have told us about the world he saw. There's so much I don't understand about Gregory, about everything.
Yeah, you can already. I don't need to explain what.
I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. He'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now
remember.
pronounce you husband and wife. Make his bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
Oh dear. You already predicted what's going to happen to this kid.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
And then his kid was electrically shocked, wasn't he? Or that's it into a tornado. Either way.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus. My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died.
Can't say I blame her particularly.
At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. My mom moved to England a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
I have to admit, that's kind of cool.
Milton Finch in.
You can hear that, the clacking of the haptic feedback. Yeah. Like, really cool. He went through a door and disappeared.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Yeah, maybe I'll do the Unfinished Swan
Mom didn't want
next or something. Not that I've ever played it properly. Oh, that's done.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room. Except
the drugs,
Louis.
man, all the drugs.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on. Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
I still thought you could redo them. Oh God, Lord. Whew. Still thought you could replay them. No, clearly after the fact.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names.
This is probably one of the cooler bits.
He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
As you'll notice, it's going to start to bleed over the so-called reality that we're living in.
But he found something more. I worried about him then, daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss, but he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend.
Imaginary friend.
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And and he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery, but his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor, and he won.
Yeah, that's not a Mario reference, is it?
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
See, that's just complete disconnect with reality.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
Oh, my little tooty friends.
Including the wise Calico who had insisted on advising him.
It looks really good though, doesn't it? Like, this could legitimately be a game in itself. Though it's got me in the mood to play Prince of Persia: Sands of Time now. Oh, wow.
Bend down his head.
Now, why would you have a guillotine when you're crowning someone?
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Open the door. Time to get on the floor.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night has been coming for a while. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
Pretty sure we've missed Dawn, but we might learn it now, I don't know.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
Oh no, Dawn's part of this one.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance.
Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories! I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
But now I get to see it when it's above the water.
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled, I lost my way.
Hang on a minute. There's always a bit of... hate it. I'd say every time I have these problems.
Around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things.
Random ghost deer.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go!
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you.
Gotta push myself out to the journey.
I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it.
It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone.
I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Here we are. So this was created for great director's mom. It's kind of nice when they do that. Yeah, overall this game has an interesting view, an interesting message. It's just sad as well, and I suppose it's not about that though. Yeah, apparently that guy added the extra couple of trophies, so they've given him a trophy for doing it, which is, yeah, it's kind of cool. We're not quite done yet, still got a couple more trophies to grab, and I may as well show them off. Because why not? Said the Pokemon.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
Yeah, we get a trophy for that, and then we get
he never
a trophy
talked
for
about
playing this specific story.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly. But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Albert, I'm not gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
There we go. It's quite an easy platinum, really, if you just get the guide through for it. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of What Remains of Edith Finch, even. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.